Hey guys, it's Maxine and thank you so much for watching. Welcome to my very first women's haircut video on my channel. I already have a men's cut video posted and I did that cut on my boyfriend. And on this client, I'm going to be doing a long layered haircut, and I don't know which video I'm going to be posting first, but I just finished doing a color fill on her and we made her dark brown. We colored all of her blonde and made her brown, so I'm going to either post that one first or this one first, but I wanted to show you guys how I cut her hair. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. I usually post a lot of hair tutorials like color videos and things like that. So if you want to subscribe and learn a lot about color, then definitely subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, especially if you want more haircut videos. I've gotten some requests for haircut videos. That's why I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna, take a video of me cutting my client's hair. And yeah, so here it is. Definitely take a moment and follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn, and I'm going to leave that in the description box below. So if you're interested in watching a long layered, long haircut video, then definitely keep watching. So as you can see, I already sectioned my client's hair for this haircut. I just parted her hair where she normally parts it, and then I did a section behind each ear, like I started at the top of the head and back where her part ended, like at her crown, and then I drew a straight line down to the back of her ear, and then I just sectioned those pieces out of the way, and we're starting cutting in the back. Now, in a lot of cases, especially if they have a lot of hair, or if you're just beginning out with haircuts, you definitely want to take this back section and cut it in half and start at like the very nape as your first section. But my client, I was able to just manage doing this all in one section. She wanted a nice full 2 inches off, so you can see I measured out that nice 2-inch chunk, and I'm just combing it very smooth down towards the back of her nape. Like, I don't want any graduation in this because it's going to layer it. I want this to be very blunt in the back for her length line so that her length line stays nice and heavy. And yeah, so I'm combing it very smooth down towards the back of her nape, down the back, and making a very blunt line. And now this is like a nice trick to make sure that you have it even. You just take both sides of your section here and you just make sure it's even. As you can see, I noticed the right side was just a touch longer, so I'm just tipping off the right side a bit, and that's just like a good trick. So you can reference that and take both sides, pinch them together, and yeah, so I'm just taking another maybe 1/4 of an inch off the right side, and I'm going to be ready for the sides now in a second. But I usually have my clients faced towards the mirror and I stand behind them, but for the sake of the video, I really wanted you guys to get like a really good look, and I didn't have a stand-up tripod here, so I wanted to really face my clients towards the camera. I also like to point out that when you first start cutting hair, it's important to try to cut palm to palm. That's the way I cut hair, palm to palm. That's what the way they teach you in cosmetology school. And the reason why is because you have more control over the scissors. Obviously, the scissors are very sharp. It's a tool, so you want to have the most control possible. So when you're cutting palm to palm, and it's also helping your hands stay very steady and stable. So cutting palm to palm will help that. But I do know a lot of hairstylists who can't cut palm to palm. It's just not very comfortable for them, so they don't do that. And I really believe that this type of a career is very artistic, and you can really just do what's comfortable for you and how you feel like expressing your, artistic ability. And I feel like if you're not comfortable doing palm to palm, then you don't have to. Like I said, I know a lot of hairstylists that don't. I personally do because that's just how I feel comfortable doing it. But yeah, so I always just like to say, try starting off, like if you're a beginner, try starting off with palm to palm, because I would say it's the best and safest way to do it because you have more control. But yeah, do whatever you got to do. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just bringing this up to the camera so you can see it. but you, like I said, once again, you want to comb very straight down. You don't want any like graduation. If I was to pull this hair like towards me, it would kind of layer the length line a little bit, and I want the length line to be very, very blunt. So I'm combing this very, very, very straight down, and I'm only lifting it up at the end, and that's not adding any graduation. I'm just trying to show you guys because I know the cape is very dark and you can't really see what I'm cutting, so I'm just trying to bring it up to the light. And I like to go around when it comes to like a layered haircut, whether it's long layered or short layered. I just want to point out that I really like to just start off with a blunt haircut all around. I don't like to cut my length and then layer the back and like then move on to the length of the side and layer the side. I don't like to really do that. I feel like the haircut takes too long, and I also just feel like I don't know, I just like to layer it after. I think when I first started cutting hair, I would do the back section, I would do the length, and then I would layer the whole thing and then move on to the side. But as I started to get more advanced with hair cutting, I just feel like I personally like to go around the entire haircut first, make everything blunt, make sure it's all even. Like right now I'm trying to make sure both sides are nice and even, and trust me, when you're like extra perfectionist about making sure, especially on long haired people, but short haired people too, I feel like anybody wants their hair to be even. That's like a pet peeve of even the least picky people, you know. So going and just double checking, triple checking, all that on making sure that the haircut is completely even on both sides. Your clients will take note of that, and that's really important. So yeah, I'm a perfectionist with everything, so I always just do that literally whether I'm in a rush or not. I can't like help it. But yeah, so I'm just finishing up this blunt haircut, and then we're going to be moving on to the long layers. And one little trick I like to do to kind of finish off the blunt haircut is I like to split it down the middle in the back and comb everything completely forward and just kind of trim off any loose hairs, you know, any hairs that just kind of make it to the front and look like out of place. And I do that on both sides. Like I kind of comb it into pigtails, and I just kind of make sure that there's no random little hairs that are out of place, because I just feel like a lot of people like to bring both sides to the front, and I want to make sure it's not only even but not any random like hairs out of place. Like I said that 100 times already, but like I don't know, I just like to do that. So now I'm starting on the long layers, and I really like, especially on long hair, to keep the length line very heavy. I don't want to over layer the weight of the length, because that sucks. Like nobody wants to feel like they have thin hair, you know? So I'm just taking kind of like a pie section here and just taking the back part. Not a pie section, it's going to turn into a pie traveling, you know, layer in a second. But right now I'm just trying to like get this in the camera frame properly. But yeah, so I'm just bringing this all up. I think it's 90 degrees. And I'm just taking off that first inch. Like she wants long layers, so I'm not going too crazy with the layers. So I'm just trimming off the very first inch, like near the crown. And I want this to be pretty heavy still, like I said. So I want this to stay connected also. Like I don't want it to be disconnected. So if you comb it all the way up like that, it should stay connected as long as you're still holding on to like the bottom hair. You'll see as you're combing it up, like sometimes the very bottom part of the hair will fall out of your comb, and that's fine. That's where you want to stop and make your first cut, because you want it to stay connected. If you keep traveling, you see how some hair falls out? That's what I'm talking about. If you stop there when it starts falling out, it'll definitely stay connected. And basically that section that you just cut, I'm taking like a little piece of the next section that I want to cut, and I'm adding it into that. And I'm keeping this guideline like traveling so that it doesn't like over direct anywhere, but you just want to take like a slice of hair that you didn't cut yet and pair it with a slice of hair that you already cut. That way you can keep your guideline and you know that you're cutting the same length around the whole head. But yeah, pulling everything up at about 90 degrees, letting that first bit of hair fall out, and then cutting everything like off on the top like an inch or so. It's just going to make for a really nice long layered haircut. A quick tip for the very front section: whenever I'm combing the front section up and doing the layers, I just want to, like, you want to slightly over direct it back a little bit, because clients never want that front part to be too layered. Angles are nice, it's a nice face frame, but I just feel like layering the very front too much is a bit much, so I like to kind of over direct it slightly to the next section in the front hairline part. And now I'm moving on to the other side of the head in the same way. I'm combing it up at 90 degrees, waiting for some hair to fall out, and then cutting off about an inch. So I went ahead and did all of the layers on the whole head like you saw. And now that I'm done, I want to cross check like the very top section. So I like to take a big chunk of hair and I like to comb it all up, and I like to kind of angle my hand in a way that it keeps the very front section long. But as you can see, I'm definitely taking off some more length off in the front. But because I slid my hand like a little bit higher in the front part, it just makes so that the very front in the hairline, it doesn't get over layered, because the clients don't want to see any random chunks of hair just sitting in a weird part of their face. So it's important to kind of angle the front a little bit longer like that. And yeah, I just like to cross check the very top, because a lot of the times, like what happened here, just little pieces of hair. It's just a way to make it perfect, and I like to just do this a couple of times, make sure that everything's all good. And yeah, just it helps. It's another way of just making this perfect, So now I'm combing out my section to start on the angles. I like to comb starting at the crown and work my way to like the front of the ear, not the back of the ear. And then I want to concentrate the angles on just around the face. I never like to go too deep with the angles. I hate when I see like too heavy of angles. I just feel like it makes it, like, especially on extra long hair, I don't want to take the length away. I just want to do a face frame. So I'm just making sure that when I do angle, I don't over angle it. I want my clients to still feel like they have the sides of their hair, if that makes sense. And that's just how I like my hair too, so I try to keep that in mind when I do angles. After I comb everything, this is like usually about where I'm just double checking with my client on how short they want to go. So you can see, I think my client wanted some kind of a curtain bang, so we're going a bit shorter. And yeah, so I just like to always double check. It's important to, even if I asked them already, because at the beginning of the haircut, a lot of times I'll ask, I like to just, make sure that we're on the same page along the whole way. So I just think that's important. So yeah, when you cut angles, one side of the head is always going to be a bit more awkward to cut. So an easy way to, overcome that is just standing behind the client and cutting the one side that way. And it just helps your hands be like the angle that it's supposed to be for a face frame. So I like to just stand behind my client on one side of the head and just slide cut this down, just making sure the angle is still angled into a face frame. And personally, when I do angles, I really don't like to lift the hair up too high, because I want to keep the angles very heavy. I like the face frame to have some sort of thickness to it, and I just feel like when you pull up the hair too high in the air, then it's layering it a lot. And just the way I like angles on myself is also the way I like to do it on my clients. I just like to keep it heavier. I don't ever want to make my client feel like they have thinner hair, and I feel like when my hair gets over layered in certain ways, I just feel like it's thinner, and I like to keep everything pretty heavy. Yeah, so I don't really like to lift it up too much, so I'm trying to, when I do a face frame, comb it kind of down. I don't want to over layer it. So that's just the way I do it. And now this side is the more easier side, like it's not an awkward angle, you know. So now I'm just connecting the two front pieces to make sure that they're the same length. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm slide cutting and regular cutting just the angle all the way down and making sure that they're both even on both sides. Just a little trick to make sure that both sides are definitely going to be even. I'm just taking a chunk from the other side and matching it up and cutting it to kind of make somewhat of a guideline. And now I'm just going to be connecting like the first piece that I cut, and I'm connecting that like random chunk that I just cut and making like that diagonal line right there. Like I'm kind of showing where the chunk is, and I'm just cutting the diagonal line right there. And then I know that both sides are now the same length, and I'm just going to kind of follow that guideline now all the way down to the length. And after I finish the angles, I like to just quickly put the two front pieces together, and I'm not really like layering them because I just talked about how I don't really like to layer angles. I'm not really layering them. I'm just making sure that they're both the same length on both sides. So I'm just kind of making sure that there's no random long pieces. Like I'm very, very slightly dusting that part because I just want to make sure it's the same length on both sides. But yeah, so I'm just dusting it. And now I'm going to shake the whole haircut dry and style it with some beach waves. And like I said, I colored my client's hair. This was actually a color fill. So if you're interested in learning about how I did a color fill and dyed it from blonde to dark brown, then definitely check out my video on that. I'll link that in the description box below. I'm not exactly sure which video I'm posting first, but if you wanted to watch that color video, then definitely watch that. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see more hair tutorials in the future. If you want to see color tutorials, I have tons of those on my channel, like balayage and color corrections and all types of things. And definitely like this video if you liked this haircut, and if you want to see more haircut videos. And I hope you guys learned something out of this long layered long haircut video. And I definitely, I'm doing it anyway, so I figure I might as well record it and show you guys. Hopefully it helps some people out. Share it if you think it could help somebody you know. And this is the haircut all complete. This is the long-haired, long-layered cut. And because it's such a long layered cut, obviously the layers are pretty subtle. And yeah, but the beach waves like really always bring out the layers. So as she shakes her hair and walks and like lives her life, the layers will start coming out. But obviously it's really kind of hard to see long layers when it's just, laying down there on the back. But yeah, so if you guys want to see more haircut videos, definitely thumbs up this video. Let me know that you liked it. And if you made it to the end of this video, you're a real one and you're awesome, and definitely keep learning because knowledge is power. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
So give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me break it. You're